In this video, I decided to try the round 100 starting challenge. Basically, all you have to do to complete this challenge is complete round 100. The only problem is you start with nothing but the starting pistol and 50,000 points with only 60 seconds to get set up before zombies start spawning in. Now, some of you may have already seen that Tim Hansen and Russian have attempted this challenge with some success. However, I decided I was going to do it better than them, and I did all the BO3 maps, including the base maps and not just chronicles, and I decided to play them all no gums except for Zeds because it's impossible unless you use one specific gobblegum, which I'll talk about later. With all the info out the way, let me tell you how I went about each map and how difficult each one was. Shadows of Evil. This map was probably the hardest map out of all of them to get set up on, just because of how long the rituals take in order to activate Pack-a-Punch and the fact that you have to use your beast modes efficiently, otherwise you wouldn't have enough to do all the rituals. Anyway, the way I decided to play this was to use my beast mode after opening the spawn gate, activate the stairs to the spawn ritual, then activate stamina up straight after. I would then buy QR, grab the summoning key, buy stamina up, pick up the first ritual item and do the first ritual. During the first ritual, the minute would be over and I would have zombies spawning in, but it wasn't too much of an issue. After the first ritual is done, I picked up the gate worm, went over to wherever Jug was, and this happened to be in Waterfront, so I went ahead, opened up the long way towards the perk area since I'm limited with beast modes. I then activated the perk, opened the ritual site, came out of beast mode, bought Jug, got the ritual part, and went in and completed the second ritual. From here, I then make my way over to the Footlight District and do the same thing again. Beast mode, open up the ritual site, pick up the item and start the ritual. The only difference is this time I had a Margra around me since I completed the second ritual. Thankfully, the Footlight ritual has quite a big area for training, so it wasn't too hard. Finally was the Canals ritual. Just like all the others, had to get the item, open up the ritual site using only a single beast mode. After I did that, I picked up the ritual item and started doing the ritual. This one was a little bit more sketchy because of how small the ritual area is, but it was still possible to train the zombies there. Once the ritual was complete, picked up the final gate worm and headed straight towards the roof and dropped down because the Margra was still coming after me. I then bought double tap and went through the rift portal to finally get to Pack-a-Punch. Finally at Pack-a-Punch, I placed the gate worms down and completed the final ritual. But there was a problem. I still hadn't killed the Margra. But I did have a plan for that. While I was completing all the rituals, I picked up the fuses around each area in order to be able to activate the Civil Protector. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you activate the Civil Protector and a Margra is nearby, you can instantly kill the Margra when the Civil Protector lands, and that's exactly what I did in the Canals area. Margra out of the way, I could now safely Pack-a-Punch the nearest wall by to where I was going to train, and that happened to be the Vesper. I made sure to get Deadwire as it's the fastest AAT to kill zombies with, and began to train in the OG training spot, the Rift. This is a very nice and easy training spot on Shadows of Evil, and after around 10 minutes of finally being able to kill the zombies, I cleared the round and that hell of a setup was over. Yeah, it fucking is. Let's go. One map done. Okay, chats. Do I reset the timer for the next map? The Giant. Now this map was pure bliss for setting up compared to Shadows. When I spawned in, I made sure to keep the door next to the Shiva closed as I was going to be training in the spawn room and ran straight to the power switch through the other door. Once the power was on, I opened up to the back teleporter and linked it to the spawn pad. Then made my way up to the second teleporter, and along the way I picked up Jug. I then began the link with the teleporter above the VMP room, and on the way back to spawn, I picked up double tap and mule kick and made it back to the spawn pad with plenty of time to spare. All I needed now was the third teleporter near the M8. So I made my way around and began the link. However, because I have the spawn door shut for the strategy, I didn't have a lot of time in order to get to the pad in spawn, and because of this I failed my first link. However, I went back in the second time, having a red screen trying to force my way out of the room, but managed to link the third teleporter with about 1 second left. Now the Pack-a-Punch is open, I began to pat my RK5 and try and get Deadwire on it. However, this is where things become kinda risky, as the Pack-a-Punch machine isn't really in the best of places. I almost downed and got hit a lot trying to Pack-a-Punch mid-round due to this awkward positioning, as the only way to survive it is to run the zombies as far back of the spawn room as possible and then run straight to the Pack-a-Punch machine and put it in or take out your weapon. It took a few tries, however I finally managed to get Deadwire on my RK5, and I then did the same with the Shiva in order to get turned. With those weapons Pack-a-Punched, I began to kill the zombies, activating turn when there wasn't one already out there, and activating Deadwire every 6 seconds or so. I was lucky enough to also get a nuke, which allowed me to pap the Vesper, and I was lucky enough to get fireworks, so every 20 seconds or so I'd shoot fireworks to help speed things up. The general strategy is pretty simple though, you just do cutbacks on yourself, basically doing a semicircular motion, in order to move around the zombies so you don't get trapped, and activate Deadwire when you're close to the RK5 or on your way back after doing a cutback. And then after about 10 minutes of killing, the round was over and it was time to move on to the next map. I'm taking a little break because I wanted to do this fun challenge, yeah? I did a couple of maps before. Back on Eisendrache, one of the most aesthetically pleasing maps on BO3, and also a very simple setup for starting on round 100. I started off by opening up double tap side and heading straight towards power. After switching the power on, I then bought stamina up, a HVK, M8A7, and made it down to jug just before the zombies started spawning in. I then bought QR and double tap and headed back to the teleporter. On my way there, I activated the first PAP area, teleported and activated the second PAP area down at the rocket test site. I then used the launch pad to jump back to spawn and headed up towards the death ray and papped my M8 and the HVK, got turned and Deadwire respectively on the two guns. I then played another OG strategy, training at the death ray doing loops around the left hand side of the death ray area. I would then shoot Deadwire and turned and activate the death ray whenever it was ready. Once again, around 10 minutes of killing, the round was over, 3 maps down, 11 to go. There you go. Nice. To one of the more annoying maps, Zeds. This is the only map where I had to use a classic gobblegum just because of turning on power. So what I did is I hit the gobblegum machine until I got anywhere but here, went around to the blue water area and turned the power on in building A. I then went back to the blue water and ran all the way over to building B and turned the power on there. I then bought an M8 and ran over and opened up the bunker doors and then ran around the entire map to despawn all the zombies to clear a path to the actual power switch. In the power area, I then had to clear a cobweb in order to start the lockdown. Now, normally you'd have to kill all the zombies that spawn in the lockdown area. However, starting on round 100 with non-papped weapons and no way to get the KT4, it is impossible to do that lockdown step normally. So instead, after starting the lockdown, I used the gobblegum to teleport me out, and when I went back into the power area, I could finally switch the power on. I went ahead and used the zipline in order to get out of the area and run back inside in order to get Jug. Now, because activating Pack-a-Punch isn't a particularly easy thing to do on round 100 on ZNS, I decided to play without it and just use the plane trap in order to kill the zombies and get through the round. But the general strategy was to start in the plane trap area, switch the plane trap on, shoot the Pharaoh in order to get some points and kill spiders, then make my way slowly outside of the area and do a loop around the giant boulder, loop slowly around the trap area until the trap was ready to activate. Once it was ready, I activated the trap and repeated the strategy until the round was over. Overall, a somewhat annoying setup, but quite an enjoyable strategy. Yeah, I did Nawaku. Is that... Holy shit, that's round! Bro, this trap's fucking crazy fast. Let's fucking go, boys. We got Zeds done. Holy shit. Fucking go, boys. Good shit. Right. Next up was Guardrobe. This map in general is quite annoying, but thankfully the strategy is quite basic. All I had to do was buy quick revive at the start, make my way over to the power switch, and then grab the shield part. This is because the shield is pretty much the real wonder weapon of the map. Once I did this, I bought stamina up in Jug and went in the shield area. I then did a nice big horde up in order to kill all the zombies with the trap, which then gave me time to craft the shield. Once the shield was built, I then started killing, and the strategy was basically to use 2 shield blasts, bash the shield until it was almost broken, use the final shield blast, break the shield, get a new shield, and repeat. Oh, and also switch the trap on when it was ready. I did unfortunately take it down due to Valkyrie drones and zombies behind me when I had the shield out in front of me. However, I managed to recover and complete the round in about 11 minutes from when I started killing. Yeah, it fucking is. Let's fucking go, boys. The final base map for BO3. Revelations. Usually when I think of Revelations, I think of it being the easiest map on BO3. However, this wasn't really the case while doing this challenge. I started off by doing the first corruption engine and going through the portal to Nact and buying Jug. I then immediately decided to go to the box location to try and get the Apothecon Servant, as I thought it would be faster and safer to camp with the Apothecon Servant than to train with AATs. After a few hits of the box, I was lucky enough to get the Apothecon Servant, so I went around to Verrucht and camped for a little bit because I had an 80% chance of getting a max ammo as a drop. After I got the max ammo, I then went around turning on the other corruption engines, starting with Verrucht, then Mob, and finally Der Eisendrache. While doing all of these, I was also shooting the blue rocks in the sky in order to be able to pack-a-punch the Apothecon Servant. Once I papped the Apothicon Servant, I went through the portal that took me back to Verrucht and camped in the corner for the remainder of the round. After pack-a-punching, it only took about 2 minutes to finish the rest of the round. This was literally slower than GK. And on GK I took it down as well. Nice. Well, the entirety of BO3's 100's done in 1 hour and 51 minutes. Including fails for rounds, including fails for every map after Shadows. All in all, it took less than 2 hours in order to complete round 100, starting with nothing on the base DLC maps on BO3, including a few fails on maps after Shadows of Evil. Thank you guys so much for watching the first part of this. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. This video ended up being a lot longer than I expected, which is why I decided to split it into 2 parts, but the second part will be out about 2 to 3 days after this one. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.